it is going to take another form of courage for me to ask each of the elders to hold to 15 minutes. And I apologize for that in advance to them and to all of you. I want to first introduce Elder Chief Moon. He is going to lead us with a presentation. And you are invited to the podium if you're comfortable, or you can also sit. Okay.
Okay, ni cho kwa ka. Kita kena eksemat sebuah nis. Kita ni kon stea kopi. Kita kena sepanas cek semat. Kita pitua bikisiko nok skanato ni. Kita ini tak ni thot kinok thot. O kesawat. Sako kecine ke cine ko swa man stop is me bad pieces. Greetings to all of you. My name is. The English name I was given is Keith, Chief Moon, and my black name is Onestiakopi. And Onestiakopi is a name that was given to that was bestowed upon, in our tradition, upholding the Indigenous laws. We had a bit of a process. The name was carried by my great-great-grandpa, Red Crow. He was a signature of Treaty 7. And so I'm nowhere near what he has done. In fact, he felt with the signing of the treaties, the spirit of the treaties, the conception of, for humanity reasons, how he allowed the settlers to come into our terrain. So I just wanted, that's who I am, and I just wanted to acknowledge one of my mentors, and I've really acknowledged the information that he bestowed upon us when I was young and foolish, going to the University of Lethbridge, and we introduced Native American Days at the U of L, University of Lethbridge, and it was a very kind of somewhat controversial at the time, because as you know, Southern Alberta, in our studies, is sometimes referred to as the Mississippi South, Mississippi North, of how racist and how bigot communities they have. And it's still there. When Tom came to talk to us, we were so, I guess you'd say, we were so overwhelmed with his presentation there. It really empowered the majority of our students. Most of us, there's only a handful of needs to be students there. And Tom, thank you so much for taking the time at that time. And that gave us, and currently, the University of Lethbridge has a Native American Studies department as I speak. So back then, there was the days when so I want to thank you, Tom, for taking the time to give us that inspiration gesture that we can never forget our identity. So anyways, my topic is, I'm going to try and finish up there's stories behind it that don't take time, but I'll do my best to work within the parameters. And first when I go with our, where I come from Ghana. That's the blood reserve out of the Blackfoot Confederacy, and you see the area. We have our brothers and cousins, the Siksika, Bikani, Hamskab Bikani, and we're from Ghana, right just next to Lethbridge. That's where I'm from, and that's where I call it Ghana. In fact, actually, the Canadian government tried to move us out of there. They had ideas of moving us into a place called Medicine Hat. In fact, that area is still there. They told us, no, you guys are going to be moved over there. But my great-grandpa, Meek Gatesto, he said, no, this is our terrain. This is our area. We're not moving nowhere. We allowed you guys to come into our terrain, and we're going to stay. And that I guess that's kind of the rationale. The little town or the village that we come from called Standoff. So with the historians and all the experts, they call it standoff. And I think that kind of gives a reason why they call it, because we weren't going to move. So anyways, that's where kind of is. And just to give you an idea of the reservation, there's 17 clans on the reservations. We have all of them I mentioned. If I go into them, it's going to take up all of my time. But that's where we're at. That's the area of our reservation, and that's where we are. And our teachings and our I guess you would say the foundation of our teachings is we base on Napi Natu Si the sun and Kokomiki. And then we talk about the creation stories. And again, I was very interested in Burroughs' talk yesterday when he started sharing information that had similar messages that I was about to present here to this gathering, because he talked about all of the values that were bestowed upon. And what happened there when they were living on Earth, they were living in husband and wife, and they had 7 sacred teachings that came with it. And they were 7 boys. Each one of the boys gave a gift, and those gifts are still there. And in the evening, if you look up in the skies, you see the Big Dipper. Those are reminders that that's where they are. And it started out with the rain, where we had akomimstan, love, and forgiveness. Yeah, things happen, but we have that. It was forgiveness. And then the canyons, they represent the akustuwapsin, means courage. And then all these were gifted with us in this. If I go into the story, we'll be here tomorrow morning with Tosh still telling that story. So I'm just going to do it. I apologize for this really, really quick story. And the third one is about the mountains, Mokaksin, the wisdom. And I'll go into show you some examples of where we're at. And then the forest, we have the Okamuta, the honesty and truth. And I think when Burroughs mentioned, I said, well, those are some things that we... But again, he was talking about, I think it was called, I forget, your trickster is called, I can't remember, Nanabush, or I can't remember. Ours is Napi. And Napi was and then we have the wind represents Estui Satsi Sini, humility. Because sometimes we take it for granted, we start trying to say, oh, I'm better than that guy, but there's humility. You have to acknowledge humility. That's a foundation, and it's still there. And then in addition to that, thunder and lightning, that ennaku'tsi sini, respect. And what happens there is when we're just getting ready in our community, when we hear thunder in springtime, it's going to happen any day. That's when our new year starts. And that's acknowledged. So I remember one of my relatives, my uncle there, there is a sacred pipe called the thunder pipe. And that's the time they open it and acknowledge. And they'll get ready for the ceremonies that are about to come down. And last of all is the ocean remembers Ikakiman, courage, resilience and perseverance. Apologize for the spelling mistake. Anyways, that means Ikakiman. You just don't give up. Accept who you are. And again, I want to acknowledge all the survivors that are here. The Canadian government has done everything to annihilate us. John A. Macdonald, when he said to kill any in a child, they did what they did. But the thing is, we're still here. We're still here. We're still here. We're not going no place. We're here to stay. They have trouble. They have trouble accepting that. And again, also very, very. It's kind of interesting just to share with you from my views, and I might get into trouble with some of the views that I have. Okay, these are some of the places to acknowledge some of the teachings that we have. This is a place that's in our area that's called Ashinape, writing on stone. It's got there's stuff on there, and that acknowledges our connection of who we are. These are the experts, hieroglyphics or what they call it, whatever. They don't understand what they, but we know what they are. There are messages there for us of acknowledges our identity. And in our area, we have it called a Ninesh to go, and then just south there, as we call it, another mountain. These are the places where I went to get some of the sacred teachings, and they're still there. We go there to empower, acknowledge, and to embrace, and to share and to continue with the path of who we are. And then further southeast from us, we have, they call them the Sweetgrass Hills. And these hills were created by your equivalent to Nanabush, ours called Napi. He made those hills. And I went up to that hill there to get some of the spiritual message that I was able to. And again, I sacrificed myself to get the teachings and all that. And again, before I got there, I was really challenged because that was the whole idea. If I was really serious about going there, I went up there to do my session or ask questions. I know, like what ceremonies and all that. Okay, and all of these are based on the creation of the pipe. Between the pipe, you have they come together. And the tobacco and the smoke that comes from it, that's the agreement that we have. So in essence there, when we have all those pipe carriers, so we have a teaching here say, if you are a pipe carrier, you are everybody's child. That's our teaching here. And that's what happens there, is that we have that, when you become a pipe carrier, it's your responsibility to be able to take care of that. And that was... And we have the Sundance that was outlawed in 1895, but the tribe, we continued with that. In fact, what they did was they really, really made it rough for us back then, because I saw some documentation saying that they deliberately, well, as you know, they kill all the buffalo because the buffalo was our connection. And when the buffalo was killed off, we were very compatible, very resilient. And one of the things that the Indonesians back then was you withheld, like the buffalo tongue was very important to it. And they withheld all that. But we compromised. We had to use beef, and the ceremonies went ahead. So they think we have the annual Sundance, and again, my younger colleague, Spopi Scott, they participate in that dance annual. And it's been going on since, even though it was outlawed, we continued that. And just to give you an idea of some of the teachings, there's a rock there called Napian Rock. There's a teaching behind it. This rock actually was together, and it's just south of Calgary. This rock chased Napi, and because and what happened there, if you look at this rock there, so you could see those faces in there. One of the teachings says, be careful what you say, make sure you can follow through what you say. And the other one is honesty and truthfulness. So what happened there is, again, I'm really condensing the story. Napi gave the rock this robe, and then it started to rain. Napi went back and got the robe back from him, and the rock was really upset. He said, but you gave it to me. You said I could have it. So he kind of offended the rock. And the rock got upset with him, and he chased him, and he was going to go after him. So he had to ask and again, I'm just really condensing the story. The rock chased him, and then that's where it's at now today. And so out of that, there's a teaching there. It's about honesty, truthfulness, and be careful what you say. If you're going to say something, make sure you can follow through. And we have to be. We always, like I sometimes I have to remember, and I'm trying to always be careful what I say. Okay. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the sun dances were outlawed in 1895, and Okay, just something out of interest there. We talk about the doctrine of discovery. I just want to mention that in 2014, Supreme Court of Canada, in the Chilcotin case, declared that the doctrine of discovery never applied in Canada. So that's something that to keep in mind. And I just wanted to quickly mention that the doctrine of discovery was enacted back in the 15th century. And Christianity, and I might get in trouble for this, but it says within the last 2,000 years. But our way of life has been from time immemorial. And those natural sightings affirm of where our identity is. And I just want to end off with saying that these are the 7, I guess these are the equivalent to our Indigenous laws. We have the Akumim, stand love, that was represented by the rain. Akastuapsini is courage, that's from the canyons. Mokakshini is wisdom, represented by the mountains. Okamutapi, honesty and truth, is represented by the forests. And Estuisatsi is humility, represented by the wind. And Nakutsi is respect, thunder and lightning. And Igakimans, that misrepresents the ocean. So those are the things. And again, I apologize for making my story. I know there's a lot of information on that. And thank you so much for listening to me. And Niksukwa.
I want to let all of the participants know as well that the presentations that you're viewing on screen today and yesterday will be available on the Office of the Independent Special Interlocutor website after today. So all of the presentations will be available for you. I'm now going to turn it to Elder Pauline Shirt, and I'm going to give you a microphone.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning, isn't it? When I walked in here this morning and I thought, I saw my brother, and I thought, oh my God, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. It was so good to hear his words. So I want to say bonjour to everybody, each and every one of you, This is our meeting. This is your place here to be with each other. So I just want to say that, I'm carrying Sema here, and I want to say miigwech I hi to all of creation, to all of everything and that has sustained us from time to time since the beginning of time. And it's so good to see so many, many, many teachers, so many, they're right across the country, and I wish I could spend time with you. I just want to, I run a school here called Pepamachakwe. And it is, after my grandpa, Wandering Spirit. And I was talking to one of the little ones. I always converse with them every day. And so I told them, I says, Grandma, where are you going? They call me Grandma, at school. So they said, I says, I'm going to, going to be talking about, about the children that have been buried. Oh, no, Grandma, they said, don't let them bury you, she said. I thought that was so cute. And I said, I'll see you on Friday. I said, because we always have, circles with us. Okay. So my real name is Behesu Squel Animkikwe over here. And my clan is the Eagle Clan. And Gibadase, Nitodem. And I follow our way of life. I was brought up in a place, the sacred place called the Scupelwin, which is Sad Lake, Alberta, 132 miles northeast of Edmonton. And that's where I was raised with in a traditional way. And I can say in a traditional way because my grandparents were one of the last ones to get, to have the sun dances and also the the sweat lodges. And we had to, and I remember as a child, I'm going to be 80 years old. I'm so young, aren't I? And I always say, I'm going to have a big birthday party in July. They're all invited. But anyway, when we had our ceremonies in Saddle Lake, we used to have to go into the bush. And it was so beautiful. And I say, that I was so happy to be there. And I could see that, as a child when I was growing up, playing house in a bush, we used to see and find, the dishes and pans and pots and pans in there from yesteryears. So we have kept those. Hopefully they have. But in a way, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I still speak my language. It's Plains Cree. Gia bit ni here one, ni here square ice ni ya. Ya one ba utahi ihaya. El muta kagagi simuyan. Kutawi no. Ihaya. Umuta sema. Ihmiyak. Kuyaskito yan. Ki kwayan makantawi taman ka we peak squayan. The wasm sick. If he's sticker. You go ma. You go Kaya to tell that story. The same kind of story that our brother gave that story of creation and how we are connected, that interconnectedness with each and every one of us, and the same thing with our brother here from the south. And I think I was so the little twinge, I just felt lonely for my land, for our land. And I do get lonely nowadays. Because you know why? I have nobody to talk to. I have nobody to converse with. All my friends have gone ahead of me into the spirit world. But they come to me in dreams. They come to me and visit me every once in a while. And I know a lot of you have visitors too. I know that, Dreams. Our brother talked about that. All those 7 stages of life, about the truth and everything that we all have to. So I'm trying to hurry up in here, okay? I'm usually a fast talker. But there is something that my daughter, Luana, she, light-speaking woman, she told me, Mother, do this, say this, she said. And, can I? Yes. Okay, great. Hey. She said, oh dear, there's a phone call. I'm not a high-tech person, okay? Okay, just hang on. And she said, she told me, make sure you talk about what you're doing nowadays, she said. I don't go out and teach, okay? Although I have, my phone is always ringing and all that, to go and speak to people. I stay at home. And people do, if people want to come and, get a teaching or something or be shown something, then I will give it to them. But I have an office at Wandering Spirit at Pipamachakwe. That's where I teach and am with the children. But my daughter and I have been working on something so sacred that I looked and searched for years ago about the 13 moons. How many of you were brought up with 13 moons? Not so many of us, okay? I know that because I researched that. I went to all of your countries, okay? And but now we're so rich, it's right there. We've got them, Our grandmas was always there listening to us, trying to find us, and this is how. Sema, is how we connect with her. And that Sema is, will give us everything, give us the answer. So those 13 moon teachings that I have been doing at Pipamachakwe with my daughter, they're here. They're here. We can give them to people. So now, what she said to me is, make sure you talk about that, because right now, this is the April moon. An April moon, we call it the sucker fish moon, where fishermen, how many fishermen are here? All right, see, there's not too many. How many hunters are here? I'm looking for hunters. Really, seriously. But that's why it's really important for each and every one of us, as teachers, to teach, to help people, to help our people, to get them, moving, and to get them, say this is our way of life. And, that's like the sucker moon. Nobody has offered fish to me yet, okay? I'll be waiting, okay? I love my fish. But anyway, that's the Plains Cree, okay? But in the Ojibwe, in the Plains Cree we call it the goose moon. I'm sorry, it's the sucker moon that's in Anishinaabe over here. And with that springtime, she said, make sure you talk about the renewal and the dance. And I know our brother has talked about that. But the most important thing for me is because I belong to a beautiful family called the Three Fires Society, and I am one of the Buffalo teachers in there. I hold that title as a grandmother, but I also hold the title of the Water Clan. And in the Water Clan, I'd like to say miigwech to our dear grandmother, whom we always forget. And I want to say to you, the visitors, the ones that are around here, that her name is Lake Ontario, and her Anishinaabe name is Nigani Kiche Gamik. Nigani Kiche Gamik. Can you say that? Nigame Kiche Gamik, okay? And that's her. Go and visit her. She's so lonely for us. She is so lonely for us. And I always carry this water, cup in here. That's part of our clan. It is up to us to talk about her, but also to talk about the water. If that's the only thing I can talk about right now, water, so be it. I'll be satisfied. My children will be satisfied, because we are water. Without water, there is no life. Say that to your grandchildren. Say that to yourself. Without water, there is no life. Life is so sacred. We have to start, getting together and and honor the water, because she needs us. They're calling for us. Those grandmothers are calling for us. And I could go on to teaching about, the grandmothers teaching, but it's not right now. So, and the other thing that my daughter told me is the natural laws. And I know our uncle set that from the stars and the creation stories. The creation story, know your creation story, okay? Everybody has a creation story. Learn that and, give it out, okay? And yesterday I heard, when our brother was talking about the dream and about the vision, the prophecies that he was given by the Hopis, I met those beautiful Hopi people. They're so beautiful. And they're still watching over us. They're still communicating with us about life. They brought life here in Toronto. They used to be one of our keynote speakers. And so I honor that. I really, really honor that, that love we have for, for everything. So that creation story is so crucial. I cannot say it more, on and on. I can say that. Learn your creation story. Give it to your teachers. Give it to your children, your grandchildren. And as I was saying, our uncle said that, the prophecy. I had that dream. I've been having those dreams about that road of our children. We have to get our act together. We have to be strong. We have to be, kind and respectful to each other. Know our way of life. We've got to do that. It's so important, my friends, because that road, at first, I used to dig with it. I used to dig around and find out things, This is what I have to grow. This is what I have to teach. This is what I have to give to the, to the young people, to the, the future generations. Now, because of the Buffalo Clan, is it just about now? Okay. Because of the Buffalo Clan, we have, my responsibility is to do the, to give teachings, to do the, teach them about our way of life, and they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Our children are getting stronger, more and more and more, okay? So okay, I said 2 more minutes, okay. I just want to say that to you. My uncle, Mr. Porter, I have those dreams. But also, I want to tell you, I am in the midst of also finding all those people, all those chiefs that were hung, all my relatives that were hung, and I'm bound and determined. They're the ones we have to talk to for our children. They're telling us, come on, bring them home. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Learn your teachings. Learn your creation story. Learn how to do the burials. That's what they're saying to us, okay? So I just want to say, I want to do something, okay? And grandmas can get away with things, okay? I'm sorry, but, great grandmas, I should say. I want to sing a song that my grandpa, Wandering Spirit, sang to his people, to our people, to encourage them about life, and that's the life that we're talking about, that road of life, okay? And before they hung him, and he says, "Let me face," he says, "the east," he says, he says, "I want my wife to be by my side." I want to sing a song. I'm not an orator like Mr. Porter, I am a singer. I want to sing this song. Hey, hey, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
So go with that energy, and I give you all that power within yourself, the power, just be strong. And the light is bright. The light is bright. And just keep on going and taking care of of what we are doing. And also, that's my grandpa's song to keep us strong. Okay, miigwech. Hey, hey.
Nyawe goa kichimigwich, Elder Shirt. Can I now invite Elder Fred Campion, who will be our last speaker on the panel.
Hi. Hi. Thank you and good morning. I come from northern Alberta. In our language, it's called Tatagausi Pi. Pile River is where I was raised. And I bring greetings from my family and from my territory, Treaty 8. I'm a descendant of Wichiwisis, who was a head man, a signatory to Treaty 8, along with Chief Kunoseo, Kakino Sit. And I'm honored to be here this morning, and I'm honored to be able to share a little bit of myself and my teaching and some of the things that I have been doing with my life over the years. And I want to acknowledge and thank Elder Tom Porter for his wonderful stories and teachings. There's a bit of a strong connection there with Tom and I. My late mother, Sugapau, woman who stands strong, traveled with Tom back in the day in the 60s and with the White Roots of Peace. And my mother brought home the elders from many nations across Turtle Island to come and be with our people and our family back then. And she was very fond of Tom and spoke often about all of the elders that, of course, at that time they were young, but they were looking for those elders, and they went to the knowledge keepers like Thomas Banyaka and others, and I was there. I heard the stories, and I was young myself at the time, and my mother was a very strong woman who instilled in me the meaning of life and respect for life, and in particular the respect for women and the teachings of the women. And she spoke our language very fluently, and she also traveled the world and did a lot of good work, but she also suffered at the hands of colonial governments. I remember she was part of the American Indian movement for a while, and we were under surveillance from CSIS for a number of years for doing what we were intended to do, which was, bring back and revitalize our stories and our ceremonies. So I just want to acknowledge my mother this morning, along with my grandmother. My grandmother was a residential school survivor from the age of 3 years old up till 18, and she passed in 1988. In 1986, I remember sitting in our kitchen. She was speaking to my aunties, her daughters, and she was speaking about her grief, her loss about growing up in those schools. And the one particular story that stuck to me was she talked about the girls, her friends at that time, as they got older, maybe 14, 15, they go missing for about 6 months, and then they return. But in the morning or at night, sometimes I hear a baby crying, and the next morning there's no baby. They're looking around, they're asking, and this girl would return. But after 3 months, she started to show. So she was letting go of all this, what she witnessed and what she went through. And another one was she cried about, and she was crying through these stories, and she cried about knowing that there was those babies buried in the back there in the bush somewhere at that, what they call a mission at that time. So I just want to acknowledge my grandmother and be her voice. And myself, I had to try to understand all of this as a child, why and what happened. So anyway, I feel that the spirit of our families and our ancestors are still with us particularly when we need that support spiritually. And today's topic is about upholding the traditional law. Some of the elders that I had the fortunate time to work with spoke about the law, and one elder in particular, my late father-in-law, spoke about 2 laws. He said, we have to concern ourselves with 2 laws. One is man-made law, the law of the land. And those laws have to be respected as well and followed. There has to be structure, there has to be rules amongst the people, otherwise maybe we would, there would be chaos and all kinds of bad things could happen. So he accepted that the government and the newcomers, the colonizers came with their laws. But they are not our laws. He said, our laws, Creator's law, is the law that is supreme to all human and all life. And this is how he started to describe some of those kinds of teachings and understanding and relationship. Where the Creator had given us this place to live, our land, our language. When we talk about, he said, the treaties, which in turn relate to talking about sovereignty. He said sovereignty, in our understanding of what the white man brought, when he brought his laws, he talked about his sovereignty. But you cannot have true sovereignty unless you have land. And our people on Turtle Island, this is our land. This is where our sovereignty is. Their sovereignty is over the big water that they brought and imposed, and they did many things to try and overpower our people. When they signed treaty, there were many treaties before that treaty that our people signed with other nations, and they uphold those treaties still today. Our people, the knowledge keepers that understand those kinds of treaties, will talk about those when they're invited. And so part of the understanding of those laws for me is to do my due diligence as a lodge keeper and ask the question of the grandfathers and the grandmothers. Our source of information and power and knowledge comes from the higher power you call the creation and our connection to our mother. These things are interrelated and interconnected throughout history and throughout the existence of us as a people, as human beings. And for us to go back and understand how to live by those laws means we have to almost start over, I would say. We have to look for and do our research and our visiting and talking about those relationships that we have been given from time immemorial, how to be interconnected. We cannot exercise our law unless we have true sovereignty. And true sovereignty comes with language. We have to rekindle and encourage our young people to continue to build that language back. Because, as Trudeau said in 1982, you have no sovereignty, you have no culture, because you don't speak your language anymore. That enraged me when I heard that, because it was their intention to try and kill that within us. And they failed miserably. So, I'm very happy for this conference, also to talk about the burial unmarked graves that my grandmother talked about as I grew up. There was one man back home, he became an alcoholic, very, very chronic alcoholic. And every time he got drunk, he talked about one thing. He cried about this. His friends got tired of him crying about the same thing. And what he was crying about, I learned later on, was that he witnessed, as a boy in that residential school, mission school, the burning of little babies being thrown in the furnace by two nuns. And the screaming, it haunted him all his life. And in him growing up, he couldn't tell his story. So it went inward, and it came out as an alcohol person. Those kinds of things are real. Those kinds of things I can relate to because I see it and I witness it myself. So, my friends, I carry these lodges for a specific reason. All my life, since my mother, my grandfather, who took me in and raised me, my grandmother, since I was a baby, I have been given and been encouraged and been pushed and pulled to carry these ceremonies. My wife and I, we carry a Sundance from her people, the Plains Cree. And where I come from, there's a lot of bush. So I guess you would call us woodland Cree. Sagawindawak. And one day, it's a little funny side to this story, one of my sons, we were explaining to him where they come from. And he said, what does that make me if I'm a bush Cree and I'm a plains Cree? And so he said, what does that make me? A wood plain old Cree? And I got 2 minutes. Following these structures. So I just want to say that the ceremonies and upholding those ceremonies is vital. There's a lodge that I was given responsibility for. It's called a Uwipi Lodge. It's a night lodge tied up in the Xabahtamak, Xabahtamu in Omania. That's one of the titles that I'm called by my people. And I worked with the the medicines, you know, the knowledge of the medicines from my parents and grandparents. I want to acknowledge my family from Abiska as well, from my father's side, Big Stone Cree, very beautiful people. And thank you. And just one last thing. I worked in a prison. I don't have a watch, so you can come and pat me on the back. I worked in the prison system for 30 years, working with men and women in prison. So I was dealing with the outcome of residential school, the high number of children in care, and also 60 scoop, all of that. We see the end result of that experience that the governments and the churches have put our people through. But you know what? Those men and women are human beings. And that's another thing that what I find and I'm seeing is that society in general across the world, in all of their conflicts and fighting and whatnot, because I watch TikTok. But these things are turning out to kind of dehumanize us. And we need to come back and remind them we're human beings, first and foremost. Yes, I'm a Cree, I'm a Nehio. But I identify myself mostly of all as a Nehio. Our language, identify yourself through your language. But these men and women, they're crying and they're reaching out. Forgive them. I don't agree with what the crimes they committed. But most of them committed them against their own family and their own people, and especially the women that they had, been very mean to. But they come back and they ask for that forgiveness, and we pray in ceremony. And that's perhaps all we can do. So I've been involved in the justice system for a long time. And I just want to say that, these things, the burials, everything, I prayed for this. I remember praying for this to come out in the 1970s. I wanted the truth to come out on the governments and what was happening to the people. Even at that young, I knew something wasn't right. So I want to thank you all very much for listening to me this morning, and I wish you all a safe travel home and get home to your home fires and your families and your loved ones. Hai kananas kumpna.
Now I would like you, if you could, to join me in acknowledging and thanking each speaker for sharing their words.